600 meters in the air, what is the sound of silence? It is not emptiness, but a roar full of texture. It is the wind, whistling through thousands of glassless window openings, coalescing into a cosmic whisper. This is the summit of Tianjin's Golden Finance 117, a legally forbidden zone, yet in the hearts of global urban explorers, it is the site of a modern Tower of Babel. Over the past decade, countless Spider-Men, risking life and limb like modern-day pilgrims, have infiltrated the interior of this steel skeleton to ascend the world's tallest ruin. The cameras they brought with them have revealed a surreal scene. What was meant to be a cloud-top club for the world's wealthiest, filled with clinking glasses, now holds only dust dancing in the Tyndall effect. What should have been shafts for high-speed elevators have become bottomless, dark abysses leading straight to the Earth's core. However, in the summer of 2025, a finishing job, a decade late, quietly commenced amidst a clamor of doubt. But is this truly a medical miracle of resuscitation, or a more bizarre public autopsy? To answer this, we must turn back the clock to that frenzied era when the very air was thick with the scent of wealth and hormones. Let us return to the early 21st century in China, an era when maps needed to be updated quarterly. From 2001 to 2011, China's GDP grew at an astonishing average rate of over 10% annually, a pace unprecedented in the history of major human economies. This explosive growth fostered a near-religious cult of hype. It was at the crest of this wave that a Hong Kong magnate named Pan Sudong arrived in Tianjin with his golden group, like a gambler holding enormous chips. Pan's own rise is a legend. Starting in the electronics trade, he ventured into wine, polo, and finance, the boundaries of his business empire both blurry and bold. He came to Tianjin not to build a single tower, but to create a kingdom within a kingdom, the Golden Metropolitan. This was to be a closed ecosystem for the world's top 0.1%. It planned not just for luxury residences and offices, but also a polo club capable of hosting world-class tournaments. It was a dizzyingly vast vision, and its heart, its shrine, was the Golden Finance 117 Tower. 597 meters, 117 stories. What did these numbers mean at the time? It was nearly 90 meters taller than the then-completed Taipei 101, equivalent to placing another Statue of Liberty on its top. Its goal was to surpass the Shanghai Tower, then under construction, final height 632 meters, to claim the title of China's tallest building. Its crown was planned as a gigantic 81-ton diamond-shaped structure, housing the world's highest observation deck and swimming pool. This wasn't merely a design, it was a declaration, a self-coronation bordering on a god complex. For the Tianjin municipal government at the time, this project was like manna from heaven. It would not only reshape the city's skyline and bring in massive land transfer fees and taxes, but also serve as a proud international calling card. In this mutually beneficial rush of capital and political achievement, everything seemed to fall into place. In 2008, amidst the global excitement of the Beijing Olympics opening ceremony, the 117 Tower officially broke ground. This century-defining gamble, estimated to cost over $10 billion, was formally placed at the opportune moment of the era. If we set aside its commercial fate, the construction process of the 117 Tower was, in itself, a violent, aesthetic ode to modern engineering. To stably raise a structure weighing over 1.2 million tons into the sky to a height of 600 meters is a feat of difficulty comparable to a small-scale manned space mission. Its core is a steel-reinforced concrete spine known as a giant core tube. Radiating from this center are 11 enormous outrigger trusses, like a giant's ribs, tightly connecting to the colossal steel columns of the perimeter. This structure theoretically allows the 117 Tower to withstand once-in-a-century gales and earthquakes of magnitude 8 or higher. To support this steel behemoth, over 900 engineering piles, each 100 meters long, were driven deep into the ground, reaching the hard bedrock beneath Tianjin's soft soil, as if fitting the giant with a pair of studded shoes. However, hidden within this war against the laws of physics was a more fatal enemy: the laws of finance. The tragedy of the 117 Tower is rooted in an extremely fragile financial model. In mainland China, the prevailing real estate development model is high turnover. Developers use land as collateral for bank loans, then build and pre-sell rapidly, using buyers' money to pay for construction costs and achieve a quick return of capital. It is an interconnected, high-leverage financial game. But Pan Sudong and his Golden Group chose the most dangerous path. Due to its Hong Kong capital background and the special nature of the project, its financing channels through mainland banks were relatively limited. More fatally, a super-tall commercial project like this could not be pre-sold on a large scale like residential properties before its main structure was topped out and a series of inspections were completed. This meant that the vast majority of the enormous 70 billion RMB investment had to be shouldered by Golden Group's own funds. It was a breathtaking gamble, betting that over the long years of construction, the global economy would remain stable, China's economy would continue its rapid ascent, and most importantly, his own cash flow would never run dry. He wagered his entire empire on the head of a pin. Unfortunately, the storm came faster and fiercer than he could have imagined. In 2015, the dominoes began to fall. That year, China's stock market experienced a violent roller coaster ride. In June, the Shanghai Composite Index plummeted by over 30% in just 1 month. Pan Sudong and his golden-affiliated stocks had been heavily leveraged through stock pledges during the preceding bull market. When the crash came, the stock prices collapsed. According to Bloomberg data, Pan Sudong's personal paper wealth evaporated by more than $13 billion in a matter of days. On August 12 of the same year, just a few dozen kilometers from the 117 Tower construction site, the world was shocked by a massive explosion at the port of Tianjin. The shockwaves from this tragedy were far from just physical. It severely damaged Tianjin's city image and investment climate. Despite the desperation, on September 8, 2015, the developer still held a high-profile topping-out ceremony for the 117 Tower. The site was adorned with colorful flags and resounding with gongs and drums, as if declaring victory to the world. But it was more like an elaborate smokescreen, a grand performance designed to attract last-minute rescue investment. The performance ended and the funding chain snapped. A few months later, all machinery fell silent and thousands of workers quietly departed. The planned diamond crown was never placed. A skyscraper on the verge of deification, just one step from the finish line, was suddenly brain dead. From late 2015 to early 2025, the 117 Tower entered its long and bizarre ghost decade. It became a huge, awkward urban presence. By day, it stood in silence, the sun reflecting coldly off its unfinished curtain walls. By night, it dissolved completely into the darkness, like a soulless black mountain. However, abandoned in the physical world, it achieved immortality in cyberspace. It became the ultimate holy grail for the global urban exploration urbex community. For young people seeking extreme thrills, infiltrating the 117 Tower was considered a rite of passage. In a way its developers never intended, the 117 Tower became Tianjin's most famous internet-famous landmark, an unavoidable and shocking scar. And during this decade, China itself underwent a monumental transformation. The once feverish worship of skyscrapers was replaced by more rational and stringent regulations. The Chinese government, wary of the risks posed by real estate bubbles and overconstruction, hit the brakes with a height restriction order. In April 2020, a regulation was issued. As a rule, no new buildings over 500 meters shall be constructed. Fast forward to 2025. After several failed asset auctions and restructuring rumors, a turning point finally appeared in a low-key manner. A new construction permit was announced, indicating that the 117 project would undergo preservation and resumption of construction. The new owners and contractors included top-tier design and construction firms. However, awakening a steel beast that has slumbered for a decade is far more complex than simply finishing the job. First is the comprehensive medical examination. Exposed to 10 years of sun, rain, acid rain, and air pollution, the building's health is a great unknown. Engineers, like doctors, must use methods like ultrasound and sample analysis to check if the core tube's concrete has lost strength, or if the tens of thousands of tons of steel have developed unseen corrosion and metal fatigue. Any minor geological settlement over the decade, and its effect on the vertical structure, must be remeasured with millimeter precision using lasers and satellite positioning technology. The fire, electrical, ventilation, and communication systems designed a decade ago are completely obsolete by today's codes and technical standards. A decade ago, its positioning was as a luxurious palace for global financial giants and the super-rich. But today, 10 years later, the global landscape, China's economic model, and people's needs for work and life have all drastically changed. The rise of remote work has impacted the demand for centralized, top-tier office buildings. Under a new development philosophy, does such a high-energy consumption luxury landmark, serving only a select few, still hold market value? The new operators face a difficult choice. Should they continue following the old map to find a continent that may have already vanished? Or should they completely change its purpose, perhaps transforming it into a vertical urban complex integrating scientific research, cultural tourism, and public spaces? Any change in use implies another surgery on the existing structure and a new round of massive investment. The officially given preliminary completion date is 2027, but every participant knows in their heart that this revival is fraught with immense uncertainty. Today, as we once again look up at this lonely titan being rewrapped in scaffolding, the feeling is no longer one of simple awe or pity, but a more complex sense of history. Its birth was a product of the time is money, efficiency is life, era of frenetic growth, the ultimate expression of ambition born from the union of capital and power. Its stagnation is the most direct lesson from a burst financial bubble, a classic business case of overconfidence and a failure to control risk. And its revival, in a new era that is more cautious, pragmatic, and focused on high-quality development, is a difficult act of self-redemption. The fate of the 117 Tower has transcended the building itself. It has become a mirror, reflecting the glory and dreams of China over the past 2 decades, as well as the pains and reflections of its economic transition. The whole world awaits its conclusion, perhaps no longer to marvel at its grandeur, but to understand our own era through its fate.